Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。A Chinese artificial intelligence model, DeepSeek, sent shockwaves around the world last week, topping the free download charts in 140 countries and regions, and causing US tech companies to lose hundreds of billions of dollars in market value in a single day. And now a US senator wants to ban the app and throw ordinary Americans who use it in jail for 20 years. So what rattled the US so much? Well, while US AI developers are spending tens of billions of dollars per year, the small Chinese team that created DeepSeek said they spent just $5.5 million and considerably less time. Their product was widely lauded as being as good as or better than anything the West has on offer. As the cherry on top of the cake, DeepSeek is free and open source, while the now hilariously named OpenAI, which you have to buy, is completely closed. That's because the creators of DeepSeek have said they hope to ensure AI benefits mankind rather than chasing profits. And that begs the question, is Chinese AI the democratic AI fighting against US AI authoritarianism? And why exactly was the world so shocked by China's AI success? Well, today I'll ask my special guest, Professor Warwick Powell, all of those questions and more. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Borham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. On January 20, a small team of Chinese AI developers released DeepSeek R1, a free and open source AI model which quickly topped the charts in 140 countries and regions and sent the Western AI industry into a meltdown. NVIDIA, whose chips are widely used in the US AI sector, lost US $600 billion in market valuation in just a single day. That's billion with a B. Others like Broadcom, Micron, and AMD also saw massive drops, highlighting a seismic market re-evaluation of AI investment strategies. And now US Senator Josh Hawley has proposed a bill that would ban US-Chinese artificial intelligence in the US, and he wants to send ordinary Americans to jail for 2 decades just for using programs like DeepSeek. He also wants to charge US companies found using it $100 million. So what exactly is DeepSeek and why does China just keep on winning? Well, today I'll ask my special guest, Adjunct Professor Warwick Powell from the Queensland University of Technology and Senior Fellow at the Taihe Institute. Professor, I want to start with a really simple question, and it would be excellent if you could answer in plain English if possible. What is DeepSeek?
DeepSeek is a large language model-based artificial intelligence project, and what that, in layperson's terms, means is that it's a bundle of algorithms, which are calculations that hoover up a massive amount of information and data, and can query that, search that, and ultimately reason through that massive amount of information based on the queries and prompts that are provided to it by people, and also through its own reasoning processes change course should it be heading down a pathway that it deems to be heading down a dead end. So in a sense, it's just think of it as a super duper computer that can make the most of massive amounts of information.
So obviously DeepSeek caused a massive shakeup in the AI industry, and we saw hundreds of billions of dollars wiped from US companies in just one day. What is it that rattled them so much?
I think 3 things rattled them. The first one was that there was a demonstration that somebody other than one of the major American companies could actually make a world-leading intervention in pure research output. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the DeepSeek model has demonstrated a level of operational efficiency that requires a lot less computational power for a given amount of output, and also a lot less energy consumed for a given amount of output. Now, that's quite transformational because it means that you need much less resource to be able to do a whole range of things than you did previously, or if you used other models. And the third thing that has really shaken the commercial model of American AI is that the model itself is released as open source. Now, what that means is that anybody can download the model and run the model locally. It means you can run it on your own device and use that model as the basis of your own customized artificial intelligence tool. And those three elements combined, I think, really disrupt the entire business and finance model of American AI.
Now, we've seen some actors in the US, like Senator Josh Hawley, wanting to ban American cooperation with China in AI, and even proposing sending people to jail for 20 years just for using programs like DeepSeek. Now, at the face of it, this obviously seems extremely foolish. Like you mentioned recently, the US did the same thing with NASA in 2011, banning China from collaborating with the US Space Agency. And of course, that backfired quite spectacularly, forcing China to innovate and survive on its own. And as we know now, China's become extremely successful in its space programs. So now the Americans are even begging China for samples from the dark side of the moon and trying ways to get around their own ban on cooperating with China. They say a fool is someone who does the same thing twice and expects different results. What's your take?
Well, there is another saying too, and that is, you keep your friends close and you keep your enemies even closer. So if the Americans want to frame China as an enemy, then, it might have been prudent to actually be much closer to the work that Chinese data scientists and technologists are doing. But of course, the Americans have chosen quite a different pathway to respond, and that is a pathway underpinned by a Tonya Harding mentality, which is to try and hobble others in the race so that you end up being the last person standing. This is unfortunate in many ways. So from the US's point of view, it's of course unfortunate because that approach actually hasn't worked. Right? So purely from the point of view of the objective of slowing someone down or stopping someone from pursuing a particular technology development pathway, stymieing China has not delivered on those hopes. Quite the contrary, Chinese technology ecosystem innovation has actually been accelerated in the face of these constraints. And in many respects, the DeepSeek project emerged as a direct response to the constraints that have been imposed. So that's one dimension. The second dimension where collaboration is actually more sensible, not just in terms of sort of those narrow, did I achieve my objectives kind of framings, is that artificial intelligence poses great risks to humanity and social security and stability, just as it provides the tools to enable people to do amazing things. And it behoves great powers to recognize that and rise above the pettiness of their geopolitical frames and realize that you have to collaborate on some things in the greater interests of humanity. And hopefully, in the coolness of time, the adverse reactions, which are very emotional at the moment from the Americans, will actually bring sensible people back to the table for the kinds of discussions that I think people around the world really expect from big nations and serious statesmen.
Now I just want to zoom out a little bit. So ever since President Obama's pivot to Asia, we've seen the US kind of framing competition between China and the US as authoritarianism versus democracy, good versus evil, I guess. Interestingly, the creators of DeepSeek, they seem to be wanting to push the democratization of AI by making it more accessible and affordable, as opposed to US firms that sort of close their models off and charge money for their use. Do you think it would be fair then to frame this dynamic as AI democratization with China at the helm versus maybe AI authoritarianism from the US?
Well, it certainly lends itself to a reframing that recognizes that the American AI model has been premised on the idea of creating a big, wide and deep moat and very high walls so that people would be charged a lot for access and use of the models versus a model where the access and ability to operate it has very, very few barriers.
Last quick question today, Professor. I wondered if you could briefly tell us what you think the near future holds in this AI space.
Look, in some ways, I think LLMs, large language models, are really coming up against the limitations of the learning databases, amongst other things. So we're going to see efforts to, design and develop new models that will overcome some of those limitations. That's one. I think we're also going to see the acceleration of developments of applications that actually use these AI capabilities. And one of the main reasons for that is because the cost of using these models has dropped dramatically as a result of DeepSeek and some of the other Chinese models that have been launched since. So application development, I think, is going to be a very important space for development. And China actually is very good at this part of the technology process. How do you take raw technologies and deploy them in specific use case environments to drive particular transformative outcomes, whether they're in business or in social matters? The last area that I think we are likely to see ongoing research and development in particular on is there is still the dream amongst the AI community, whether it's realisable or not to another point, but there is still a dream that all of this work is taking us towards this idea of general artificial intelligence or artificial general intelligence, and there will be continued effort in that regard as well.
So I think we're going to see China continue to keep on winning. Professor Warwick Powell, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts today.
Absolute pleasure.
And on that note, that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so do let me know down below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.